With College Football 25 coming out in just a few short months, I wanted to put a list together today of 10 features I would love to see in College Football 25, whether it be for fun or for more realism or both. These 10 things I think should definitely be in the game, so let's get straight into it. The first thing I have on the list is being able to play kicker in Road to Glory. It sounds kind of stupid, but I think it'd be really fun. Games would go by really quickly because the kickers are maybe out there for 10 plays a game, and you can go to the top schools, kick game-winning field goals. I think that'd be super fun, and I've seen other people bring it up because in the past you'd only be able to play the skill positions, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, but I feel like along with kicker, you should be able to play basically every position. If you want to play tight end or D-line or literally O-line, I think you should be able to, because I don't think it'd be that hard to implement. And I think it'd give a lot more players something fun to do, and especially when quarterback and wide receiver kind of get old and boring, playing kicker would just be a fun thing to kind of mess around with. Next thing on the list is a little more broad. It's just a very deep recruiting system, whether that is just more depth in one section or more depth across the board. I think that'd be a great addition because I've seen people say that over and over again on the internet, how they really want recruiting to be a fun and kind of challenging in-depth experience and not be a surface level thing like it might be. I understand that EA has basically finished the game already, but I really hope they put a lot of effort into the recruiting process because they are going to disappoint a lot of players if their recruiting is not up to par with what they expected. NIL has already basically been confirmed, so that'll play a huge role too, and maybe spending more money on a certain player to get them to commit. So there's a lot of stuff they could do with the whole recruiting process, especially with all this new NIL stuff. So hopefully they capitalize on it and make sure that they actually fulfill what the fans want. Dynamic attendance is something that I think would be really cool and add a really good level of realism to the game. I can't remember if it's been in past games. I'm pretty sure it hasn't. Maybe like NCAA 09 or something. But when you're playing Ohio State versus Michigan, of course the stadium's going to be packed. But if you're playing UMass versus New Mexico State, there's going to be about 3 people in the crowd. And I think that really would just add another level of realism. And another thing they could do is, depending on your team's record in Dynasty, it would fill up based on that. Obviously, if you're 13-0 with UMass, you're going to have a lot more people in the stands than if you're 0-13. So I think that is something that wouldn't be too hard to do, but would make it feel a lot more alive when you load into the game and see, oh, no one's coming to my games. I have to get better so that people can come, especially in Dynasty mode. I also think this would be a good addition in Road to Glory because if you're going to go to a very small school where there's no one watching, I don't feel like that would be as fun, whereas if you go to Alabama and the whole stadium is packed. I think players opting out of bowl games would be a fun addition. I think they already probably have it just because of the prevalence it is in real life football nowadays. Because if you're not in the 12-team playoff that we're going to have, and we'll touch on something with that later, but if you're not going to be in the playoff, then why play the bowl game? Especially when you have these good players. If you're not meeting these standards, they're going to opt out and get ready for the draft. So that's something kind of small, once again, for just realism and maybe as an incentive to make the playoffs, but I definitely think that should be in the game, and I have confidence that EA did actually add it to the game. Coach mode is something I'd also like to see, and I understand if they don't add it to later versions of the game because obviously that's a huge component. Obviously, if it's on this list, I hope that it's in the game coming out in July, but I highly doubt it is. But this is more of just a speculative thing. Maybe it'll come out soon, but a lot of people have said that coach mode is fun where you can just send out your guys and watch them play as opposed to sitting behind the controller. And I know you can super sim, but that's really not the same. Coach mode, you can make decisions, go for 2 or whatever. I think that'd be a good addition. Once again, I don't think it's going to be in the game. I could see it being added later on as like an update or in 26 or even 27, because if enough people complain, or not even complain, just suggest a mode, I have confidence that they'll add it to the game. Play creator is something that's been in the past, and I think it'd be a really fun thing to just, create plays. You don't even have to be able to draw on the routes. Just say post, stick, whatever it is, assign each player to a different route, and maybe you can even make formations with those players. I think that'd be fun. The one thing I would say is I'd probably keep that away from online mode just because if you have a system like that, there's going to be broken plays 100%. People will probably find them on the first day where, you know, if you make these 4 dudes run these exact routes, then this die is always open. So I definitely think that should be like a dynasty offline thing only, or maybe it's a setting on an online dynasty. But I think that'd be fun to just kind of mess around with. And I love when games add, you know, creators like that where you can have some flexibility with what you do in your game to make it more realistic. Going along with that, I also think a form of team builder and stadium builder would be cool. MLB The Show has a complete, you know, stadium builder, so I could see them adding it to the game. Once again, I don't know if it'll be in July because there's a lot of other things they have to worry about building a whole game from the ground up. But I think obviously upgrading your stadium, at least, maybe not the complete customization, but being able to upgrade it when your team is doing well. A lot of people make the comparison, if you're playing as UMass and you become 13-0, you're not going to be playing in a 10,000 person arena. You're going to upgrade because you have all this extra money coming in. So I think that they will have something like that, at least just upgrades. Maybe there's a set number of stadiums and you just have to pick one to upgrade to. Another thing is uniform customization, not just, you know, picking your pants and shorts, but I think picking the colors and the designs, I think would be a really cool addition, kind of like even in 2K where you can download teams and download different images. Obviously there has to be like censorship and all that stuff, but I don't think it'd be that hard to add. I mentioned playoffs earlier, and I think it'd be a really cool thing to have custom brackets, basically, where you could make a 64 team playoff, 4-team playoff, 2-team playoff, whatever you wanted to do. That might be a little bit of a stretch because they probably didn't add that, but I do think that'd be just really fun to kind of mess with the amount of teams in the bracket and how the bracket works. Maybe you could even have, you know, double elimination, triple elimination, round robin, whatever you want, to make it more stylized. And they need to have these different customization options to make it more, you know, spicy and keep people engaged for longer, where they can try out all the modes instead of just playing through one mode and then saying, okay, that's all there is to see, and moving on to a different game. Because that's how they're actually going to keep people engaged, if they have these different things you can customize and mess around with. 2 more features left. This one is basically exactly what it sounds like. I obviously think they should have field rushing, and that is a little controversial because I'm pretty sure NCAA and college football in general, they don't like that because of what can go wrong. But right now they still allow it because obviously when you beat a team that's an upset, your fans storm the field. So a lot of, you know, fans like doing that, and I think that'd be a cool addition to the game. But on the other hand, it being EA and them having the whole college football license, I would understand why they wouldn't add it, maybe not just to say that they're not promoting it. Finally, the last feature on the list is spring games, and I've seen other people recommend this. I think it'd be fun to get to know your players, especially if you just move schools or you're starting a new dynasty, to kind of mess around with the players, see how they feel in game. Obviously, there's going to be a practice mode probably, but the spring game would be another level of realism where you can control one team, the first team or the second team or whatever, and I think it'd serve as a good way to kind of get to know your players. That's going to do it for today. Once again, if you watched this far, thank you very much. Make sure to like and subscribe if you could. And that being said, I will see you in the next one.